What's up, YouTube? This is your boy John from the Jersey Shore, and I am back with you today to give you my review of the 1980 film Maniac. Maniac was written by C.A. Rosenberg and Joe Spinell, starring Abigail Clayton, Caroline Munro, and Joe Spinell as Frank Zito. Oh!
Mommy has to punish you.
So our story begins with a young couple fooling around on the beach. He walks away to go get some firewood to keep the fire going, if you know what I mean. Nope, she's just cold. And unfortunately, while he's away, somebody comes up to the girl and slits her throat. As he's approaching with the firewood, somebody comes up behind him and strangles him to death with a wire. This was fun a minute ago. Next, we're with somebody screaming their way out of a nightmare. This is where we meet our main character, Frank Zito. Oh! Yo, Frank Zito! Portrayed by the late Joe Spinell. Hey, yo, Frank Zito! It's ridiculous. When Frank wakes up screaming, we see that he's lying in bed with a bloody mannequin. We also see some sort of a monument on the wall. It's a picture of a young woman with candles in front of it.
I can't stop him. But you do, don't you?
Later, we learn that that's Frank's mom. She passed away in a car accident. He was abused as a child, and now he's got a whole lot of serious mommy issues. So after you wake up screaming from a nightmare, what do? You go pick up a hooker. Next, we see a little montage of Frank getting himself ready and going and walking out the door. He heads downtown. He's in New York City, by the way. He heads downtown to find himself a nice hooker. Well, they're all nice, I guess, according to which way you want to look at it. So after he meets this hooker, she breaks down her pricing for him, and she tells Frank, for $100, I'll give you the ultimate, baby. Who doesn't want the ultimate? What is the ultimate? So after Frank gets what absolutely cannot be the ultimate, he chokes her to death and then scalps her. Shortly thereafter, we see Tom Savini sitting in the front seat of a car with a woman. She starts talking, they're talking back and forth, and she's saying, I'm going to get in trouble if my boyfriend finds out, or something along those lines. Obviously, she's in a car with Tom Savini, and she's already got a boyfriend. Tom Savini asks her if she would like to meet him someplace, and she says, sure, where? And he says, oh, how about the back seat? So cheesy. So they get into the back seat of this car, and now they start fooling around. While they're fooling around, she opens her eyes and she sees Frank Zito looking in the window at her.
Somebody out there. There's somebody over there.
Gawking at her with his nose pressed up against the window. She freaks out. She says there's somebody outside of the car. I just want to get out of here. We got to go. So Tom Savini, in obvious frustration because he also did not get the ultimate. What is the ultimate? He gets in the front seat of this car, and as soon as they get in the seat, they turn on the lights. They see Frank Zito standing in the front of the car. He jumps up on the hood of the car with a shotgun and blows Tom Savini's head off. And then he leans into the car with the shotgun and blows her away too. Soon after, we find Frank walking around in the park. Now he's walking around in the park and some little girl runs up to him, or rides up to him and almost hits him with her bike. He grabs the bike, basically tells her to be careful. When he looks up, he sees that off in the distance, there's a woman taking pictures of him.
Be careful, little girl.
She's absolutely stunning. So now he seems to be somewhat infatuated with her. He starts to follow her around. He manages to make contact with her. This character's name is Anna, and she's portrayed by Caroline Munro. So now crazy-ass Frank is going to her photography shows. They're going out to dinner. They're forming somewhat of a relationship, but you know that this can't turn out well, right? Of course not. I actually really like this movie. It is very low-budget film with a very small price tag across the board, I have to assume. I think that the highest price tag of this movie was probably Tom Savini and possibly Joe Spinell, but I know that Joe was involved with the writing of this movie and the production of this movie, and he was the star of this movie. So it probably didn't cost very much to pay him at all, if anything, because he seems to be the primary mind behind this machine. And this film falls right in line with all of the low-budget films from back in the late 70s and early 80s. Very bad video quality, very bad audio quality, not the most wonderful acting in the world, all practical effects, some better than others, but we'll get into that in a minute. But I love that stuff. I absolutely embrace it. I love low-budget films. I think that they're just as good as high-quality films. They're just made on a low budget. They just don't look as good or sound as good. But the movies, the quality of the movies are just as good. It's about the story. With Tom Savini leading up all the practical effects in this movie, they were all pretty good. Most of them were very simple, stabbings and throat slashes and scalpings. That's all pretty simple stuff. There's one scene, the scene that I mentioned earlier, with the shotgun getting Tom Savini's head blown off through the windshield of the car. That was pretty badass. I really enjoyed that one. And then there's another one at the end of the movie with Joe Spinell that I'm not going to get into. That's really, really good. It's very, very well made. And really friggin' nasty. The story as a whole, to me, it seems to be very simple. This guy is psychotic. He's got something mentally. He's nuts, for lack of a better word. His mother died when he was young. His mother abused him, which none of that helped. He's got very serious mommy issues. The abuse makes him not trust anybody, which is where the mannequins come in. The mannequins can't hurt him. The scalps from the women, I guess maybe it's just because that's part of a woman, or that it smells like a woman. Who the hell knows? I didn't get anything out of that other than that simplistic idea. Maybe that's it, maybe that's not it, but that's my interpretation of it. If you've seen Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer with Michael Rooker, this movie feels a lot like that movie. So if you liked Henry, you'll like this one. I like this one. This movie, for whatever reason, eluded me up until I just watched this yesterday. I remember this movie being on the shelves in my local video store and in like West Coast Video and in Blockbuster Video. Well, I don't know if I ever saw it in Blockbuster, but you know what I mean. Every single time I tried to rent this movie, it was not there. And then maybe it would get forgotten, and then a while later I would try and get it and it was not there. Whatever. For whatever reason, I was never able to see this movie. Several years later, it would show up at Best Buy, or it would show up at like Walmart. It would show up somewhere and I would see it, but it would have a ridiculously, unjustifiably high price tag, so I wouldn't buy it. I finally found this movie at FYE for a dirt cheap price in December. I was so excited to finally get my hands on this movie and so excited to add this thing to my collection. So I got the DVD at FYE. Mission accomplished. I finally had this movie in my possession. And then on Christmas Eve, actually, you know what? I think it was the day after Christmas, I received a package in the mail from one of my subscribers. The first gift I ever got from a subscriber, still the only gift that I ever got from a subscriber. And it was a box full of Christmas gifts. I opened up that box, and what's inside of that box? The Blu-ray of Maniac. So I went years without being able to get my hands on this movie, and now I have it twice. And it was well worth the wait. I love all those old, low-budget, grainy, gritty, low-quality film movies with the practical effects. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, and I'll say it to the day I'm dead. Those movies are guilty pleasures for me. Maniac was fantastic. If you haven't seen Maniac, check it out. It's worth it. Alright folks, that is going to do it for my review of the 1980 film Maniac. Have you seen Maniac? If you have, leave me some comments down below and let me know what you thought of it. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you have been enjoying my content, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button, and after you click that subscribe button, ring that notification bell. Take care of yourself, take care of each other, have a kick-ass day, and thank you for watching.